I wanted to play around with a more classic, a little bit more basic recipe. So for today, I'm making a cinnamon brown sugar ganache. And to really highlight those deep, rich flavors, I am using both white chocolate and Dulcey, which is a blonde chocolate. So I'm using my pastry cream style recipe here. I've got cream in my saucepan along with the brown sugar and cinnamon and some vanilla paste because I just love it. Then I've got some other cream with some cornstarch. Because this is a pastry cream style ganache, I'm going to first warm up the cream in the saucepan, make sure that sugar is dissolving into the cream, kind of melting away. Then I will temper in the cream and cornstarch. If I just add everything to the pan, the cornstarch is probably going to get a little bit clumpy, which is why I'm doing it this way. Another reason why I am using specifically the pastry cream style ganache is because there is so much cream, there is a lot less chocolate. It allows for you to add in some sugar, which is important structurally to the ganache as well. But in a regular, more basic white chocolate ganache, you have a much higher ratio of white chocolate, which is relatively sweet. And if you added in something like brown sugar, first of all, it is not necessary structurally. And second of all, oh my gosh, sugar overload. But here we can add it in really seamlessly, get that rich kind of caramely brown sugar, like molassesy flavor that we all know and love, at least I love. And it really just seamlessly works with this ganache without adding too much of a sweet flavor, overly like cloying flavor here. I also am using a lot of cinnamon. I love cinnamon. This is a cinnamon brown sugar ganache. You can really adjust this amount of cinnamon and the amount of vanilla, all of that to your own personal taste. As soon as I've tempered in the cream and cornstarch mixture, then I'm going to get everything tempered into my saucepan. Now all those ingredients are combined and I'm going to whisk constantly over a pretty low heat until this thickens up. This is a more technically challenging recipe, and I do want to let you know that you do not want to overheat this. You do not want to overcook this. But also, if it is just barely thick and you take it off the heat, that could lead to a runny ganache. And a runny ganache with a higher moisture content, if it doesn't have a thickening agent in there, it is going to lead to more moisture in your macarons, which is going to much more easily lead to soggy macarons. So this part of the recipe is really important because you need to get this thickened enough, but you don't want to cook it too much. So as soon as it's really nice and glossy and thick, that's when you want to pull it off the heat. While I always recommend not multitasking at this step in the process, before you've added in your cornstarch and you're just heating things through, I do recommend slightly warming or melting your chocolates, because when we pour the thickened cream mixture over the chocolates, it is better if they don't have to work quite so hard to get those melted. So having them at least partially melted to start off with can make things go a little bit smoother later on. All right, this is looking really thick and luscious here, so I'm going to take it off the heat, bring it over here, pour it onto my bowl of chocolates that I just heated up in the microwave for like 30 seconds. So they're not completely melted, just a little bit warm. Then I'm going to make sure everything is completely combined before letting it sit here at room temperature for like 16 to 20 minutes. It doesn't look the best right now, but I promise this is going to become the smoothest, silkiest ganache that you have ever seen. All of this color here is just coming naturally, both from the cinnamon and then additionally from the Dulcey chocolate. If you wanted to add any other colorant in here, this one, because it is so naturally brown, it would be a little bit hard to do anything besides brown. But with most ganaches, just adding in something either with your cream or at the end or whatever, it's really easy to color ganache. So if that's what you want to do, absolutely go for it. As soon as I get in here with my immersion blender, after it's cooled, so it's warm, it's not hot, I'm just getting all of this emulsified. It's already starting to look beautiful. Then I'm going to add in my room temperature unsalted butter here, a little bit at a time, mixing, making sure I've got each little bit incorporated before adding the rest in. Obviously, I recommend doing this with an immersion blender, just like I would any other ganache. If you are not using an immersion blender, I don't think you can achieve the silkiest, smoothest results that you really want. And that not only goes for ganache, but so many things in the pastry world. This is such an important tool. If you don't have an immersion blender in your kitchen, I highly recommend investing in one. You do not even need a super fancy one, and there are definitely ones at each end of the price point range, depending on what fits your kitchen and your budget. As soon as all of the butter is included into this ganache, I like to pour my ganache into a sheet pan lined with plastic wrap, because the more surface area you have, the faster it's going to cool down. And with this ganache, like any ganache, I prefer to let it cool completely at room temperature without sticking it into my refrigerator first. If you stick your ganache into the refrigerator, or if you stick anything like ganache or caramel or anything like that, the texture can get a little bit weird if it hasn't first cooled to room temperature. The faster it cools to room temperature, the faster you can use it. All right. Here it is, almost ready to pipe. I'm just transferring it into a piping bag here, and then I'm going to get it into my macarons. I filled this into some macaron shells that I dusted with some cinnamon sugar, just to really keep that cinnamon sugar vibe going. It really tastes like a macaron version, like a very fancy version of a snickerdoodle, and I'm obsessed with it. It's so good and not that complex of a flavor. I think it's a really great addition to any kind of macaron pack or flavor variety. Really highly recommend that you give this a try. If you give it a try, just like any of my recipes, please give me a tag on Instagram. Let me know how it goes. I would love to see your finished results. Let me know what you think. If you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure to do that and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any future recipes. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.